What if I told you that in the next few minutes you can learn to speak in a way that bypasses logic and compels people to relate with you on an emotional level? We live in a world that is drowning in information, and the people who rise above it aren't the ones with the best vocabulary. They're the ones who paint the clearest, most unforgettable pictures. I've spent over a decade deconstructing the greatest communicators alive, breaking down how they bypass reasoning and carve their words into the hearts of millions. And along the way, I unlocked something that most people have missed. It's not about sounding smarter. It's about making people feel smarter when they listen to you. It's why someone like President Donald Trump, who doesn't use polished words or academic phrasing, can still gather the unwavering loyalty of millions, whilst others with better credentials can barely move the room. It's a simple skill, and you can acquire it today. I'm not here to talk politics. I'm here to show you how influence really works and how you can wield it to your advantage. Because once you've understood how to paint pictures with your words, you don't just win arguments. You win minds, hearts, you win memories, and it all starts right here. Have you ever heard someone speak and you see what they're saying? No, not just hear it, but you picture it, you see it, and somehow, without even trying, you remember it. That's the secret that great speakers know. They don't just talk, they paint. And if you want to connect deeper and be unforgettable, you don't need bigger words. You don't need fancier phrasing. You need a brush. You need to start painting pictures across the canvas of your listener's mind. Because people don't remember facts. They remember the things that they can see and they can feel. The human brain is visual by design. We process images faster than we do words. We trust the things that we can picture, and language itself at its root was built on metaphor. It's primal, it's ancient, it's how we make sense of the things that are too big and too complex and too difficult to grasp otherwise. When I say time is slipping through your fingers, you don't think about a calendar. You see sand falling through the cracks of your fingers. You feel urgency. You experience it. And that's the power of speaking in pictures. You bypass logic and you go straight to emotion, because the part of us that feels, that connects, that remembers, it doesn't speak the language of logic. It speaks the language of images, of emotions, of those moments that were burned into memory without a single word. If I asked you about your childhood, you don't recite a bullet point list. You see flashes. You see the color of the sky on your first day of school. You remember the way your mother's hands felt in yours. You remember nervously tapping your shoes before a big moment. You don't store your life as data. You store it as moments, as pictures, because that's the language of memory. And if you want your words to be remembered, you have to speak in the language that the mind was built to keep. Before we learned how to construct sentences, we're already fluent in pictures, sounds, and emotions. That's why when you speak in vivid images, you don't just communicate, you connect. You bypass the rational gatekeeper of the brain, you slip past the filters, and you speak directly to the part of someone that feels before they think. If you want to move people, this is how you do it. Not by stacking complicated words, not by showing off how much you know, but by making them see what you see, feel what you feel, remember what you remember. And I'll be honest with you, this isn't an easy process. It's something that I'm still working on every single day, because painting with words isn't natural at first, especially if you were taught to value sounding smart over making someone feel something. For years, I focused on crafting the perfect sentence, the perfect turn of phrase, the perfect structure. But what I realized is perfection doesn't move people. Pictures do. When you learn to paint your ideas in the mind of someone else, you don't just inform them, you transport them. You take them somewhere new, and you give them a memory that they didn't know they were missing. And you implant your words deep enough that they keep living long before you stop speaking. That's what the great communicators do. Whether they're giving a speech, telling a story, or simply having a conversation, they're not just delivering information, they're crafting an experience. And every great experience starts the same way, with a picture. Let me show you something that changed the way I thought about communication forever. About a decade ago, there was a debate between Dr. Ben Carson and presidential candidate Donald Trump. The topic was vaccines and autism. Now, Ben Carson isn't just any speaker. He's a world-renowned neurosurgeon, one of the most qualified people that you can ever ask to speak on medical science. I mean, this is a man who has literally operated on the human brain. And when it was his turn, he laid out the facts. He cited the studies, he quoted the statistics, he calmly and rationally explained that there is no scientific correlation between vaccines and autism. His words were airtight. But then Donald Trump spoke, and he didn't quote studies. He didn't recite statistics. He didn't list out data points. Instead, he painted a picture. He talked about a beautiful baby getting pumped with vaccines meant for a horse. He described how the baby developed a tremendous fever, got very sick, and eventually was diagnosed with autism. He didn't argue facts. He crafted an image so vivid, so emotional, so primal that it eclipsed the science that came before it, and whether you agreed with him or not, you remembered him. Because he wasn't speaking to the rational mind, he was speaking to the primal mind. He bypassed the gatekeeper of logic and spoke straight to the ancient part of us that thinks in images, not numbers. And that's why his message resonated more, even if it was scientifically wrong. The uncomfortable truth is, we don't think in statistics, we think in stories. We don't feel facts, we feel pictures. And if you want to move people, and I mean to truly move them, you need to start painting. Paint a visual picture on the canvas of your audience minds. No one cares about your statistics, your data, your facts. No one cares. You have to speak the language that their brain was built to understand. You have to speak in pictures. Even when the facts are on your side, if you can't make them see it, you lose to the person who can. He said they're pumping babies with tranquilizers the size of a horse. I can already see it in my mind. That is a big ass tranquilizer. I don't know about you, but I don't want my baby pumped with a big ass tranquilizer the size of a horse. Can you imagine? All of your carefully crafted data, your bulletproof statistics, trampled upon, obliterated by a big ass tranquilizer the size of a horse. Listen, I pride myself in facts and logic, but I don't want my baby being pumped with a big ass tranquilizer the size of a horse. That's the power of imagery. That's what happens when you give a paintbrush to an artist. That's what happens when you paint a picture. Logic bows, facts collapse, statistics evaporate, because once the audience see it, they feel it, and it becomes theirs. I'll present a video of the debate, and if you don't see it, that means CNN hit me with a copyright hammer. Thanks, CNN. If that happens, don't worry. I'll drop a link down in the comments.
There have been numerous studies, and they have not demonstrated that there's any correlation between vaccinations and autism. We have extremely well documented proof that there's no autism associated with vaccinations.
Should he stop saying it? Should he stop saying the vaccines cause autism?
Well, I've just explained it to him. He can read about it if he wants to. I think he's an intelligent man and will make the correct decision after getting the real facts.
Mr. Trump, as president,
Well,
you would.
I'd like
I'm
to
going
respond.
right to you.
I'd like to
Mr. Trump,
respond.
as president, you would be in charge of the Centers for Disease Control and the National Institutes of Health, both of which say you are wrong. How would you handle this as president?
Autism has become an epidemic. 25 years ago, 35 years ago, you look at the statistics, not even close. It has gotten totally out of control. But you take this little beautiful baby and you pump. I mean, it looks just like it's meant for a horse, not for a child. And we've had so many instances, people that work for me just the other day, 2 years old, 2.5 years old, a beautiful child, went to have the vaccine and came back and a week later got a tremendous fever, got very, very sick, now is autistic.
Dr. Carson, you just heard his medical take.
He's an okay doctor. Okay.
When you've painted an image in someone's mind, you're not just sharing information, you're building memory. And the sharper you paint it, the deeper it sticks. Let me show you what I mean. I want you to close your eyes and picture this. You're standing alone at the bus stop. It's late. The pavement is still wet from a recent rain, and the neon lights from the diner across the street is stretching themselves across the puddle at your feet. You can hear the distant hum of a broken street light buzzing overhead, and you wrap your jacket tighter around your body, feeling the chill bite of the cold wind as it embraces you. And the world feels impossibly dark and empty. How did that make you feel? You see, you didn't live that moment. In fact, you didn't even leave your chair, but for a moment, you were there at West Georgia's Albertville bus stop. That wasn't just a scene. That was my memory, my experience, and I handed it to you. I carved it out of my mind and placed it into yours so clearly, so vividly that for a few seconds, it became yours too. That's the power of painting. When you give people color to see, sounds to hear, textures to touch, a space to stand in, when you give them this, you're not just speaking anymore. You're transferring pieces of yourself. You are the conductor of this spaceship, and you are time traveling, transporting your audience through the Milky Ways of your mind. You're taking them somewhere that they have never been, and once they're there, once they have felt it, they don't just remember your words. They own this experience that you have given them. That's what it means to paint. This is power. If you can paint a picture, you can change beliefs because you have reached a place that words alone and data can never touch. When you have mastered the art of painting vivid emotional pictures with your words, you can change perceptions, you can reframe memories, you can alter someone's reality. Because once a picture is planted in the mind, it stays, it grows roots, and it becomes personal. It becomes truth. And the people who have mastered this, they don't just win debates. They win minds, hearts, they change the world. Most people think sounding smart means sounding complicated. So we end up hiding behind big words, vague phrases, lifeless jargon. But big words don't make you memorable. They make you forgettable. If your audience can't see it, they can't feel it. And if they can't feel it, they'll forget it. Big words impress the brain, but vivid pictures make impressions upon the soul. If you want to truly resonate, drop your statistics and pick up a paintbrush. Every time that you explain something, ask yourself, can they picture this? Can they feel this? Can they taste, touch, hear, or see what it is that I'm trying to convey. And if the answer is no, rewrite it. Turn your abstract idea into a sensory experience. Don't just say, I had a busy day. Let them know exactly how busy and how it felt. Tell them, it felt like I have been running with sandbags strapped to my ankles all day. If you can paint your words on someone's mind, you'll never have to fight for their attention again. They'll follow your voice without even realizing why, because you're delivering an experience. So, the next time you open up your mouth and give your words permission to exit your lips, remember that you're an artist. So don't speak, paint, and make it a masterpiece. My dear friends, spending this time with you has been my pleasure. Thanks for watching.